We turn now to new inflation numbers. They've just been released, and it shows inflation rose by more than expected in March by 0.4%, and it's up 3.5% since this time last year. ABC News correspondent Elizabeth Schulze is here for more. So, Elizabeth, what is the overall impact of this new report? Does it really confirm what many Americans have been feeling, the squeeze in their wallets, the cost of groceries, everything?
It does, Morgan. This shows that inflation is stubbornly high, and especially when you're looking at a lot of those everyday expenses for people. Food prices didn't go up by as much last month, but they are still high. Housing prices continue to go up. Rent was one of the big reasons why prices were significantly higher or higher than expected in this report. Same thing goes with gas prices. We've been seeing those ticking up over the past month. The other expense here that people are looking at is services. So when you think about the things you spend on your day-to-day life, medical care, car insurance, those costs that are just monthly expenses continue to tick up higher, and that's one of the reasons why we're seeing this persistently high inflation. Obviously, that is very frustrating for households at home when they're looking at their budgets, but this is also a frustrating report, Morgan, for the Fed, because the Federal Reserve have been hoping to see that this underlying inflation trend was cooling, that inflation has been coming down enough that as soon as June, it would be able to lower interest rates. Remember, the Fed started raising interest rates because it wanted inflation to come down. That's been happening, but what this report shows that it is not quite ready to cut those rates yet. A lot of economists right off the bat here are saying we had hoped for June. It's looking like people might have to wait a little bit longer. And what that means is if you've been wanting your mortgage rate to come down, your credit card borrowing costs, you're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer, Morgan.
Yeah, you pointed out that frustration that many consumers are feeling. But look, is there any hopeful news for consumers here?
Right. Big picture, this 3.5% inflation rate is a lot better than that 9% peak that we saw 2 years ago. So when you're looking at how much prices are going up, the good news is that 3.5 isn't as high as it was a couple years ago. So prices aren't going up as fast as they were. And there were a couple of areas in this report. I was trying to find the good news for people. When you look at car prices, both used and new cars, those prices were down over the past month on a monthly basis. Airfare was also down. So some of the costs for travel that we've seen really spiking, and those costs have been really volatile on a monthly basis. But the problem's still kind of that underlying trend with those day-to-day expenses still high. The hope is that that will continue to moderate, but what we've seen is getting down from 9% inflation to 3%. That has been progress. That's what people want to see. This goal to get back to 2%, which is the Fed's target, is taking a little bit longer than they'd hoped. And the other thing I just should mention, Morgan, the stock market, this is a big impact on Wall Street. Wall Street's really going to look at this report. Initially, this is not good news when you're thinking about what it might mean for your 401k, but a lot to digest in terms of what this will mean for the stock market if this means that inflation is going to stick around for longer.
Yeah, and I know that you're tracking it all. Elizabeth Schulze, thank you so much.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo-Hebrew, also known as the Lashawan Kodash, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath if you're waiting on interest rates to go down lower, okay? And as you seen from the video that was just played, the Feds were supposed to, try to lower the interest rates by the end of March, but they couldn't. Okay, now their goal is to try to get the interest rate down to 2%, all right? Whether or not they can do that, that still, seems to be, that still has seemed to be, okay? And if they can't get it down to 2%, don't hold your breath, okay? Because why? This place is for the most part pretty much finished, okay? And it's all by, design, okay? These interest rates, they're never going to get as low as they once were, okay? Now, prior to the 2020 incident that took place, and you know what I mean, they had somewhat of a hold on the interest rates. But after that whole, fiasco took place in 2020, that just threw everything off, okay? And that was all by design because they're getting ready to what? Collapse this society, collapse this economy, okay? Now, in the video that we played, the most important things, they're not lowering the interest, okay? whether it's mortgages, whether it's, your interest rate on your car notes, whether it's, medical bills, things of that nature. Those things that are important, those things aren't coming down at all, okay? Now, they may lower certain things that aren't as important, to make the economy look like the interest rates are coming down, somewhat, better than what is expected. But overall, in the things that are important, the things that you need, such as food, shelter, and things of that magnitude, they're not lowering those interest rates, okay? So just get used to it, all right? There's not too much that you can do to overcome this, heavy clay, okay? Now, this is an article from CNN.com, and the headline reads on business economy: stubbornly high U.S. inflation grew stronger than expected in March. Okay, right. And they can't get a hold on this thing because they're not looking to get a hold on this thing. Okay, it's pretty much over with, and you can see the writing on the wall. Okay, now you have this, alliance between these other countries known as BRICS that's trying to come up with their own, currency to trade in between these countries, so they won't be heavily reliant on the U.S. dollar. Okay, and if they can ever get that off the ground, that's going to even put more of a nail in the coffin for this U.S. economy. Okay, because now these countries, and some of them being, a huge economy of themselves, speaking of, China, if it could trade in between its own, such as Russia, India, Africa, South Brazil or Brazil, I believe those are the letters that make up the BRICS. Those are the countries that make up BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. If they could trade between their own, then they would not, have no need to, use the U.S. dollar, okay? And a lot of the U.S. dollar is tied up into these, bigger countries, using the U.S. dollar for, using the U.S. dollar for exchange, okay? Whether it's countries like Japan, China, invested in 10-year treasuries, things of this magnitude, okay? This is what stimulates the U.S. economy. This is what allows the Feds to lower and raise interest rates, okay? And if other countries, particularly those of big economies, stop using the U.S. dollar and look to trade between themselves, then you can expect even higher interest rates. Because why? These countries with big economies, they aren't, using the U.S. dollar as they once were. They're not investing in the U.S. dollar, whether that's, corporations, whether that's, countries like China. They're not looking to buy any more of the U.S. debt, whether that's 10-year treasuries, whether that's IRAs, whether that's 401ks. All these things will have a major impact if this economy tank and these other countries, stop using the U.S. dollar. Okay, now we know as of right now, the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. Okay, and it's pegged with oil. Okay, petrol, the petrodollar. All right. Now, like I said, if these other countries, primarily BRICS, can use their own currency and come up with a currency to trade between themselves, they would no longer need to heavily rely on the U.S. dollar. Okay, which is what is going to further, taint this economy. Speaking of the U.S., okay, because for the most part, meaning the consumers, U.S. is a economy comprised of consumers. Okay, rarely do you have anything that's coming out of the United States anymore that other countries looking to buy. Okay, it's on the contrary. U.S. is looking to consume for other countries, primarily China. Okay, because a lot of their stuff they get from China, because why? It's cheap labor. All right, as opposed to building it here on the U.S. soil. Okay, so if China ever gets it together with these other nations and start to trade in between themselves and not heavily rely on the U.S. dollar, then hey, they're going to even have to raise the interest rates even more. Okay, so like I said, this is the article from CNN.com, And the headline reads, stubbornly high U.S. inflation grew stronger than expected in March. It says surging gas prices and sky-high mortgages and rent sent inflation rising more than expected in March. And truth be told, they still haven't recovered and bounced back from that incident that took place in 2020. These companies that's still lingering and that's still hanging around, they're trying to recover from that, from that hit they took back in 2020. So they're not going to lower interest rates just to, please the consumer. No, they got to, worry about their bottom dollar, okay? They got to worry about making up on that back end what they lost back in 2020, okay? Because prior to 2020, those interest rates were lower than they are right now, okay? Now, you may ask yourself, well, if you go back in history and look, I believe in 1983, that was the highest that the interest rates have ever been. But what else wasn't as high as it is right now is the U.S. national debt. Okay, back in 83, although the interest rates was much higher than they are right now, the U.S. debt was only $1 trillion. Okay, since 1983, the U.S. debt has risen almost $33 trillion. Okay, this economy has taken on more debt than it has ever been in the history of this economy. Okay, showing you that these interest rates, they're not going to ever go back to, what you think they were back to, the 2020, incident that took place, okay? And that was all by design, like I said, to further, sink this economy. Because why? They have to sink this economy, or print it out of existence to bring in their Their new currency, okay? So the only way they can get rid of this debt is if they print it out of existence, okay? So they're going to continue to raise this national debt, okay, until it hits a record where they can print, the debt out of existence, okay? And then they can bring forth their new currency, okay? Because if you can print more money, to offset the high interest rates, then you can essentially, take this economy out of existence, okay? Because why? The dollar won't hold its value anymore, okay? And you're seeing it, okay? You can't get as much as you once did prior to 2020, okay? Now, if they give you the same price as something that you got back in 2020, let's take a bag of chips, for example. Okay, if a bag of chips cost you $1.50 back in 2019, and you was able to get, let's say, 60 pieces of chips inside that bag, if it's the same price as it is right now, as it was back then, being $1.50, you're not going to get as many chips as you could back then in 2019. Instead of getting 60 chips, you're probably going to get, 20 or 30 chips, okay? Showing you that they have to raise the interest rates in order to match, the product or the output that they had back in 2019, for example, okay? They can't keep it the same and give you, the consumer, the same product, or else they won't be around that long, okay? So this is all prepping, for the implosion of this economy, this society. So it says, adding to Americans' prolonged and painful battle with high costs that could force the Federal Reserve to keep its punishing rates higher for longer. And they're going to have to, man, because there's no relief. These other countries aren't really looking to invest in the U.S. economy as they once did, man. Okay? They're not looking to buy these 10-year treasuries, even the corporations. They're looking to put their money in other assets, okay? They're no longer willing to invest in the U.S. economy, okay? So in order for the dollar to keep its reserve, it has to, have higher interest rates, something that's more appeasing and appealing to other countries to, want to buy and invest, okay? If they see their dollar, pegged against, let's say, the New Zealand economy, and the dollar is, outperforming that, then they're going to want to, buy more of the U.S. dollar, okay? But if the dollar can't hold its weight, why would anybody want to invest in it, all right? And that's what the feds are finding themselves, in the predicament, okay? Do we lower the interest rates to make it more appealing for other countries to buy, although our economy isn't doing as well You know, we can't do that. We can't lower the interest rates and not have the output as where we want it, okay? We have to what? Keep the interest rates up, okay? And raise them higher. And that's why you're seeing these high mortgage rates, these high car notes, you know, so on and so forth. Because the economy cannot lower its interest rates if there's not enough, you know, product to be sold, okay? People aren't buying as they once were, as they once did, okay? They can't. This economy isn't performing like it once did back in its quote unquote heyday, okay? Where you can get things for, you know, for the low, for cheap, okay? Now, you know, this debt is pretty much has ran its, you know, this debt, speaking of this US debt, has pretty much ran its life cycle, okay? It's ready to come to an end. This dollar is ready to be, you know, done away with pretty much, okay? This US dollar is pretty much finished, okay? It's just hanging on by the, you know, the skin of its teeth, okay? It doesn't have that much longer to survive, all right? That's why you're seeing high prices, okay? And like I said, that 2020 campaign helped kickstart the end of this US dollar, man. A lot of businesses went out of, a lot of companies went out of business, and those that hung around, they took a major hit. And the only way that they can what? Recover some of that loss is if they charge you, the consumer, more, okay? There's no way they're going to keep things the way they were prior to 2020 and expect to stay around, stay afloat. They can't do it, okay? And the feds know that. So they got to, you know, keep the interest rate somewhat, you know, reasonably on the higher end, okay? They can't lower the interest rates below 2%. How they going to, how is it, man, if they lower the interest rates below 2%, come on, man. It ain't going to happen. The U.S. debt is too high. The U.S. debt is approaching $35 trillion, man. That's a bump since 1983. That's almost $34 trillion. Okay? They can't lower the interest rates below 2%. Come on, man. If they do, then get ready for this dollar to really, you know, to really collapse. Okay? That's how you know this dollar is getting ready. That's how you know this dollar is getting ready to collapse. If they lower the interest rates below 2% with the U.S. debt continuing to steady rising, you know they're getting ready to pull the plug, man. They got to. Okay? They giving away goods at, you know, dirt cheap prices. All right? And these companies, they're going to go out of business. They're not going to be able to pay their, you know, they're not going to be able to pay their employees, customers, whatever you want to call them. Okay? So it says U.S. consumer prices picked up again last month, vaulting to 3.5%, increase for the 12 months ended in March, according to the latest Consumer Price Index, the CPI. Data released Wednesday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's up considerably from February's 3.2% rate and marks the highest annual gain in the past 6 months. Friday's report further highlights that the path of lower inflation remains extremely bumpy. Okay? They can't give you it all. They can't give you lower interest rates plus lower the U.S. debt. Okay? It's too much going on. All right? They're ready to, you know, collapse this economy. All right? They just had that, you know, bridge collapse. That was a big, you know, that was a big hit on the U.S. economy. Okay, there was a lot of farm equipment on that cargo ship that wasn't able to get to the farmers. Okay, now what? The prices of the food are going to go up. Okay, you're going to feel the impact. It might not be now, but you're going to feel it. Okay, those farmers that were you know, relying on those extra tractors that help, you know, cultivate the land, that couldn't get it on time because why? That bridge collapse. You're going to feel the impact of the prices of food, okay? Everything has a you know, a repercussion, okay? That bridge collapse, that ship that wasn't able to get to the dock on time, you're going to feel the pain down the line. Okay, you may not feel it now, but you're going to feel it. All right. It says that's up considerably from February's 3.2 rate and marks the highest annual gain in the past 6 months. Friday's report further highlights that the path to lower inflation remains extremely bumpy and continue to be a drag on Americans' hard-earned finances, and that any loosening of monetary policy might not happen soon. And we're going to go into the scriptures because it tells us that. And what is it, Haggai 1? So we're going to go there and see. Because what you're going to find, what you're going to come to find out to realize is that, hey, this is all for nothing. This is all in vain that you're doing. Investing in this economy is all for nothing, okay? And the writing is all over the wall, okay? This place has had its better days. You have seen it prior to 2020. Now, it's just a slow leak, okay? Until they get ready to pluck a hole in the bag and allow all of it to come gushing out, should I say, okay? Right now, it's a slow leak. The U.S. debt is steady inclining. The interest rates, they won't go down to where they want them to go at. All right, it's all writing on the wall, okay? And this economy is pretty much a wrap. It's done for. So let's read that part again. It says, Americans' hard-earned finances. Matter of fact, let's jump up. It says Friday's report further highlights that the path to lower inflation remains extremely bumpy and continue to be a drag on Americans' hard-earned finances. And if you know about fishing, when you set your hook, and you got a big fish, you tighten your drag, you let that fish drag that, you let that fish swim because he's wearing himself out because the drag is so tight. Okay? That's what this economy is doing. It's, raised the interest rate so much that it's wearing itself out. That drag is, in turn, is exhausting this economy, okay? And the Americans, they feeling it, all right? They clamoring for lower interest rates so they can have some type of resemblance of being normal, okay? They don't want to keep continuing to paying these high rates, okay? Your insurance rates are continually going up, whether it's your home or car. I can remember paying $50 for insurance, $70 for insurance. Now it's over 100 and something, and that's not even full coverage. That's just your basic, your PIP, okay? Hey, the thing, if you're expecting this place to go back, you can hang it up. This place is not returning back to what you believe was its glory. It's a wrap. It's over with, okay? This place is on that drag, okay? And let's read it again. It says, and continue to be a drag on Americans' hard-earned finances, man. This man, Esau Edom, he got the drag on you, man. You working, but you ain't gaining nothing. Why? Because he got the drag. He's using them interest rates to put the drag on you, okay? No matter how hard you pull, you ain't getting nowhere. That drag is keeping you locked in place. You just wearing yourself out. Like I said, if you ever been fishing and you hook a big fish, you tighten up that drag, and his initial surge, he gonna fight that drag, but he wearing himself out. Okay, the same way this U.S. economy is wearing the Americans out. They got that drag. By a drag, I mean an interest rate, wearing the average consumer out. Okay, the average consumer, at one point in time, they was able to afford a place to live by themselves. Now they gotta, room up. Now they gotta, get a roommate just to offset some of these high interest rates. Okay, you was able to get a good, decent car for under, 10, 15,000 without having 200,000 miles. Now look, you get a car for 10,000 to 15,000. That car already got 160,000 miles on it, man. This place is finished. This place is finished, okay? All praises to the Most High, okay? He's getting ready to bring this place down, man, all right? And in doing so, this the wicked, they're gonna bring forth their currency, because this new currency, this digital currency, is going to be able to give the consumer some type of relief, and they're going to go hand over heels to go down there and get that. All right. So I just find this article, somewhat interesting, because these interest rates got a drag on the American citizen. Okay, got them working hard. Back in the 80s and 90s, the drag was loose, man. You could run with that drag and don't even feel it. Okay, but now you feeling the effects of that drag. Okay, you seeing that you're not getting as much as you once did. That's why I said, if you go back and you see that chips that you got for $1.50 prior to 2020, and you got 60 pieces, now if they match that same price, they're not giving you as many chips. Okay, so in order for them to give you 60 chips like they did back in 2019, they have to what? Raise the price, raise the interest rate. Okay, because they can't match that same productivity as they did back in 2019. All right, so this is the drag. Now let's go ahead and get a few scriptures. All right, this is Haggai 1:6, and this is speaking about the drag, okay? Because the drag is real, okay? The drag is real. It says, Haggai 1 in verse 6, ye have sown much, okay? You go out, you work, you bust your tail, okay? Trying to, make it here in the society, keep your head above water, okay? You have sown much. You go out there and you work these 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week jobs, man. You get 2 jobs. You think you getting ahead. Man, you can't outperform these interest rates, man. These feds know what they doing. They know how to keep this economy stimulated just enough to give you a glimmer of hope, okay? They raise the interest rate, tighten the drag on you. They lower the interest rate. They let you run a little bit, so you believe that you can get just enough to get by. And then what do? They tighten the drag back up. Okay? It says, you have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Okay? That's why I said, you go back to 2019 and we take that example of those bag of chips. Okay? They may have cost you $1.50 back in 2019 and you got 60 chips. But now, if they give you that same bag of chips for $1.50, you only getting 20 in there. So you're not getting as much, although you believe, the prices is the same, but the product isn't. You getting less than what you got back in 2019 than you getting in 2024. Okay? The drag is tightening. It says, ye have sown much and bring in little. That's the drag. Okay? You running. You like that fish. That fish think he running. It's like you fighting against that current. That fish think he moving. Okay, he don't feel, he don't feel that hook setting him no more. So now he working, but he don't know that drag working harder than him, wearing his ass out, man. You that fish. Okay, the economy is that hook. Them interest rates is that drag. Okay, it says, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. That's that drag, man. You drinking, but you can't seem to quench your thirst. Okay? They giving you the same bottle. Okay? But you want the same price that you had back in 2019. They can't do it. All right? If they give you that same price that they had back in 2019, they can't give you the same amount. Okay? And if you want that same amount that you had back in 2019, they got to give you a different price. Okay? That's just the way it works. Okay, especially with that incident that took place in 2020, there's no denying it. There's no hiding it. There's no hiding it. The economy took a major hit back in 2020. It says, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe, but there is no warm. So even your clothes, man, the clothes at the price that you once got for a pair of shoes, they may have went up almost 30%. Okay. Or if you getting the same, price, the quality of the shoe isn't the same. All right. So I'm showing you that the drag is real. It says, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Okay? There's no, there's no getting ahead in this society. Okay? You may think you're getting ahead. It may feel like you're getting ahead for a little bit. But then reality come and hit you, man. Your rent just went up. Your mortgage just went up. Here it is, you've been, making your payments on time for the past 6-7 months, and now all of a sudden the mortgage rates just went up. You just got a note from your apartment leasing manager saying rent's going up $50 now. Do you want to re-sign the lease? Okay, we're gonna go up an extra $300. Okay, do you want to re-sign the lease? You got to make business decisions, man. What are you willing to give up? Okay, are you gonna give up your time? Because you're gonna have to work more hours to offset that price that they just went up on your rent or your mortgage. Are you gonna get somebody else to move in with you? Okay, these are choices that you're gonna have to make, because why? You earn wages to put it into a bag with holes. Okay, and that's what you get here in this economy. That's what you get here in this society, this kingdom. Okay, you're not going to get ahead. You may think you're getting ahead, and they hit you right over the head with these interest rates. Okay, the debt is steady growing. There's no sign of relief for these interest rates to go down. They're not going to bring the U.S. debt down. It's just, it's just the lost cause. Okay, because that drag is real. All right. Now this is Habakkuk chapter 2, and let's start at verse. Let's start at verse 5. Habakkuk 2 and 5. It says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Now we say that this is, speaking of Christianity, but this also can be, associated with these interest rates. Okay, the Fed. Okay, it says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine. Okay, his philosophy. All right, how he wants the economy to be projected over the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. How he wants the interest rates to be lower. Okay, then he raises them back up. All right, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied. Right, he can't be satisfied. Okay, because why? He's greed, and we're going to go into that in the next verse. Okay, he wants it all to himself. He could keep it lower. He could keep the interest rates lower. Okay, but his economy is based on usury. Okay, that's what it's based on, a fiat currency. There's no real, commodity that's backing this dollar. Okay, there's nothing real substantial that, it once had back in the days. It had gold backing it. Now, this fiat currency, there's nothing but debt. That's the only thing that's backing it. It says what? He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. And that's what he want to do. He want to make your life a living hell, the conditions. Okay, he wants you to work hard so much and bring in little. Okay, that's it. That's his idea for you. That's the ideal consumer, which is a slave, is to what? So much, do a lot of work 60 hours of work, 60 hours a week, go out and consume a $50,000 car, knowing that you can't afford it. Okay, but you're going to get it because you need to have that brand new car to make you feel good about yourself, because you're just, pretty much a debt slave. Okay, so you got to go out and live beyond your means. Okay, and it tells us that in Proverbs, why should you pay for a bed if you already have one? If you're not in debt, why go into debt? Okay, let's see if I can get that. This is Proverbs 22 and verse 27. Slakia. It says, if thou hast nothing to pay, why shouldest he take away thy bed from under thee? Slakia, let me read that again. Proverbs 22 and verse 27. If thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? Right. Why would you go into debt and to get something where now you are falling more and more into debt? Now you becoming more of a debt slave, okay? Now you want to go out and buy that brand new, 2024 Mercedes, okay? Now he got you right where he wants you. He can lower or raise the interest rates, and if you can't keep up with those payments, even though you've been making payments all the while, you miss a few payments, they're going to take their car back from you, okay? And you lose all that you have made. You putting, wages in a hole with a bag with holes, okay? You done made your mortgage payments when you bought that house, knowing that you couldn't afford it, okay? But you signed up for that 30-year mortgage, all right? Now what? If you can't make that mortgage because these interest rates are high, you're going to lose your house, okay? You have to live, between your means, okay? Don't go out and purchase something that you can't, pay off, okay? Don't go out beyond your means, all right? And that's how he gets the majority of the people. He gets them to be consumer debt, based, okay? That's why they debt slaves, all right? That's why inflation is taking majority of the people out, man. Because he can easily lower and raise these interest rates, okay? Just like that, all right? And depending on what side you on, you're going to feel the impact. So it says, Proverbs 22:27, if thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? Right, he can't, because you own that bed. Although, eventually he can take it, because why? He could just raise the interest rates, okay? If you don't pay your taxes, you can lose your house. Here it is, you done paid off your house, okay? And you may, not have enough to pay your taxes. The bank can foreclose on your house or your land or whatever it is, okay? This is the kingdom that we under this wicked rulership, okay? And his usury, all right? So let's go back to exposing this devil. And I believe we're in Habakkuk 2 and verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. Those are his philosophies, okay? And the philosophy we're discussing right now is his inflation, okay? He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right. And these nations, they fed up with him, man. That's why they looking to, do their own thing and trade between themselves, okay? For the longest, this world reserve currency, this US dollar, has had a stronghold on these other nations, forcing them to, peg their economy to this US dollar, this petrodollar that was not backed by anything except for, a promissory IOU, pretty much, this fiat currency, okay? And now these other countries, Zimbabwe just tried to, start up a currency backed by some form of gold called the ZiG. And like I said, BRICS, looking to trade between themselves. They looking to get off this debt-based, society, this dollar, okay? It's backed on a bunch of promissory, this is what we have, okay? We don't have gold, but we telling you that our economy is just as good as gold. These other countries, they done with it. And the people, the people fed up, you seeing it, okay? The people, speaking of the Americans, they fed up with it, okay? The high inflation, one month is this, the next is that. There's no consistency, okay? And you're not going to get that because why? You earn wages to put them in a bag with holes. That's just the way it goes. So it says, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? Speaking of, Esau, Edom, okay? and the way he runs things. In a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? Okay. And that's what they are. That's what they screaming. How long do we have to sit through these inflations before you bring them back down? How long do we have to sit through this inflation before you bring interest rates back down to somewhere, somewhat, comparable or compatible to where we can, actually make a decent living? Okay? And don't hold your breath. Like I said, don't hold your breath, because why? The drag is real. Okay? He's not going to bring them back down because the debt, the U.S. debt is looking to, take this dollar out. Okay, if he was looking to bring down these, interest rates, then this debt would go down. Okay, but you continually to see this U.S. debt, steady climbing. Okay, that's why the inevitable is coming. Okay, this dollar will not be around much longer. So it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Okay, and that's what he does. He ladeth himself with thick clay. And when we go into that word thick clay, what does it say? It's the Hebrew word. I guess I'm talking too much. It won't allow me to reverse it so I can bring up the word. All right. You saw Edom getting hurt, man. Let's go into that word thick clay.
Strong's H 5671. Avteet.
So he ladeth himself with thick clay. And the outline of biblical use is weight of pledges, heavy debts. Okay, so he brings on heavy debts for the people in other nations. Okay, and that's how he gets his money. That's how he gets his desire as hell, by you, the consumer, taking on his heavy debt. Okay, interest rates. Okay, raising and lowering them. Okay, with nothing backing the U.S. dollar except for his word. Okay, and we know we can't take him at his word. Okay, that's already been proven. All right, so yes, he's being exposed. His high inflation. Okay, people are not at ease with paying more and not getting more. Okay, that's what they really at. That's what they really at unease about. Okay, you raising your interest rates, but I'm not getting more. Okay, and that's what the people are upset about. Okay, I'm paying $15. I'm just being, let me be more realistic. I'm paying $4 for a loaf of bread, and I'm not getting, more slices than what I got, 4 months ago. Okay, and you're not going to. Okay, because he laded himself with heavy debt, with heavy clay. Okay. So don't expect to get more just because he raises interest rates, all right? Because he's not. You see him acting up, man. Esau Edom, he's acting up, man. He gets exposed, and now he wants to shut down the Bible app. The Bible app, okay? Showing you this man, he's exposed, man. He's watching, okay? So he's watching. Now he done took the words off. He done took the words off the screen, man. Esau hurt, man. This man is hurt. He want to take the words off the screen. It's all right. Let's go into it, though. Let's go back to Habakkuk. No, where we at? Haggai. And keep it back up on you, man. Esau hurt. What? No, we were at Habakkuk 2. We went into that word clay. So this is Habakkuk 2 and verse 6. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So that's what he does. You know, he ladeth himself with thick clay, heavy debt, and he passes it off to you, the consumer, okay, in the form of what? High interest rates, okay? Showing you that what? Everything that you do, you sow of much, but you bring in little, okay? And you put your wages into a bag with holes. You're never going to get ahead in this society, in this kingdom, in this man's rulership, okay? Why? Because he got the drag set, okay? And if you ever been fishing, you tighten the drag to wear out the fish, and you loosen it up so he can run a little bit. When he run a little bit, tighten the drag up, he wear himself out, and you reel him in. You reel him in, and he get another surge. You take off, loosen up on the drag a little bit. He swim a little bit, tighten the drag up, okay? And once you tighten the drag up, he stop. You reel him in. You reel him in, and then eventually you land him, okay? That's what this economy is doing. It's landing the consumer, man. Okay, it's getting you prepped for that mark. All right, he's reeling you in to that mark. Okay, and eventually he gonna, implode this economy when he got you close to the land and he got you on the net and he getting ready to bring you into that mark. Okay, like a fowler snare. All right, he's reeling you into that snare, that net. Once you in the net and he got you on land, he gonna implode this economy and bring forth his mark, okay? And you're gonna be caught. You're gonna take it, okay? You're gonna take it. So the drag is real, okay? The drag is real, and the Americans is feeling it, and not only the Americans but these other nations as well, okay? And so much that they looking to start forth their own, their own currency, the BRICS currency, okay? To offset this US dollar. All right, they looking to trade between themselves. Okay, so this dollar don't have too much more longer. All right, and you see Esau Edom, he hurt, man. The so-called white man, he hurt. He took the words off the screen, man. Man, hurt, man. So let's go to 1 Peter 5:8. We still reading though. This is 1 Peter. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Esau hurt. You seeing it for yourself, man. Man getting exposed. He hurt. That's the truth, man. The truth is hurting this man. That's why he getting ready to roll, man. He getting ready to roll because the truth is coming out. It's exposing him. This is 1 Peter 5:8. It reads, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour." Right? And if you don't know what's going on and you believe that he going to lower these interest rates to 2% to help, ease the burden of the, common folk, the common person, and that these other nations are looking to, get back and heavily invest into the dollar, you're sadly mistaken. It's a wrap. It's over. Okay? So be sober. Know what time we in. Be vigilant, watch, okay? Because it's gonna come a time when you can't see these things, all right? And he's gonna already have everything put into place, and the only thing left is to, reel you in and land you, okay? Which right now he playing with the drag right now, okay? He got it tightening, okay? And they got terms that they use such as quantitative easy and quantitative tightening, okay? When they want the dollar to be more, they what? For the economy to be good, they tighten it, okay? The higher to raise the interest rates. When they want the economy to not do so good, they loosen it up so that the people can buy more. It's all a game of cat and mouse, okay? They want to stimulate the economy. They what? Lower the interest rates so that people can consume and buy more. If the economy is doing too good, they tighten it, they raise the interest rates, so what? The consumer won't purchase as much, okay? It's all a game of cat and mouse, all right? So you just have to be aware of that, okay? But it's all coming to an end sooner than you believe, okay? And he's getting ready to bring forth that mark. So it reads, be sober, be vigilant. Know these things because this truth is what's keeping you, stable, okay? Wisdom and knowledge to be the stability of thy times, okay? So this truth is what's keeping us stable in it, knowing that this man is getting ready to make his move, okay? It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And if you have no clue on what's going on, you very much well can fall for whatever it is that he's got out there, that he's throwing out there for you to believe, okay? Interest rates are lowering, okay? The economy is getting back, but yet the debt steady continuing to climb, all right? Be wise, man. Don't fall for everything that this man put out, okay? Know that, this economy don't have that much longer, okay? So be prepared for this thing to, collapse any day now, all right? If it be the Lord's will. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, bring forth judgment to this place, okay? So be sober, be vigilant. With that being said, I pray someone was edified through this lesson, and until the next time, if it be the good Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom.